I'm Dave Froehlich. Thanks for watching this CrimeWatch digital exclusive where we take a look back at recent crime stories that have been making headlines in our area and across the state. A jury has reached a verdict in the Joshua Gilbert murder trial, and the 8th day of the trial, after hours of deliberation, the jury found him guilty of murder in the shooting and killing of Diana Lynn Pierre, who was described as a community grandmother in Florence. Fox 7 Austin's Jenna King has more.
The courthouse closed at 5, but the jury was still deliberating into the night Tuesday. Gilbert was accused of killing Diana Pierre in 2022. She was found shot on a rural roadway near Florence. Investigators believe she had stopped to check on Gilbert, who had pulled over in a driveway. Prosecutors have established Gilbert was angry at the time for losing his job. Gilbert's gun was also linked to the murder. The jury was made up of 9 women and 3 men. They were given 4 options: bring a guilty verdict on, murder, or manslaughter. They can also say he is innocent by reason of self-defense or insanity. The murder trial came down to the jury having to decide which mental health expert to believe. That's why Williamson County DA Sean Dick says this was a complicated case.
The case started very complicated because it was the classic whodunit. The police were trying to figure out who committed this crime, and through the great work of the Williamson County Sheriff's Department and the bravery of some witnesses who came forward, the police were able to solve this case.
One expert says Gilbert was legally insane when he shot Pierre, and another says his actions were induced by alcohol and drug abuse. In closing arguments, prosecutors said one thing is clear: he's guilty, while the defense argues he should be acquitted because Gilbert was legally insane when he killed Pierre. The prosecutors are pleased with the verdict.
This part of the trial is so important for Miss Pierre's family. I think they've been waiting over 2 years to hear that the person that murdered their loved one is held accountable. And today is the first step in that.
A homeless man accused of tormenting a South Austin neighborhood for years is back in custody. Ramy the W was booked into the Travis County Jail on September 12th on charges related to escaping custody and multiple city ordinance violations. People in the Westgate neighborhood have reported seeing him building sculptures, taking a sledgehammer to city property, cutting down trees in the Greenbelt, and screaming at all hours of the night. He was finally arrested and was getting mental health treatment when he escaped this past spring. Recently, stone crosses were seen in the Westgate area, and witnesses say he was behind it. Family members of suspected serial killer Ramy Mesa's victims are demanding the Travis County District Attorney take the case to trial. They say they won't accept a plea deal, something prosecutors and defense attorneys have been working to come to an agreement upon. Fox 7 Austin's Meredith Aldis has more.
A jury trial. That's what the families of Ramy Mesa's victims are demanding. In a letter sent to Travis County District Attorney Jose Garza this past weekend, they say they will not accept any settlement offer, which seemed like the defense and prosecution were trying to come to an agreement on.
Mr. Mesa is ready for this ordeal to be over, not just for himself, but for the whole community.
Mesa is already a convicted murderer. He killed 8-year-old Kendra Page in 1982, was sentenced to 30 years, but was released after just 11. He's now charged with capital murder for the 2019 death of 65-year-old Gloria Lofton and murder for the 2023 death of 80-year-old Jesse Fraga. Late last month, the defense offered life in prison for one murder and 20 years for another. Mesa would be eligible for parole after 40 years. The judge said she will not accept anything less than life in prison without the possibility of parole. When Mesa entered the courtroom and found out his plea deal had fallen apart,
I think his first reaction was, wait a minute, what's going on? We thought we had a deal.
the victims' families say any deal will not be sufficient to them. Quote, "We demand to take this to a jury trial and fight for the death penalty."
He's never, ever had remorse.
Behind those eyes.
During Garza's 2020 campaign for DA, he pledged to never pursue the death penalty. Meredith Aldis, Fox 7 Austin News.
An overdose in Round Rock leads to a major drug bust in Austin. On September 12th, authorities executed a search warrant at a home on Palmer Lane near Lakeline. Officers seized more than 1,000 fentanyl pills, 4,000 meth pills, 19 pounds of marijuana, psychedelics, a stolen shotgun, and more than $13,000 cash. We don't know the condition of the person who overdosed or how many arrests were made in connection to the bust. In a statement, Williamson County Sheriff Mike Gleason said, quote, "The distribution of fentanyl and other dangerous substances will not be tolerated in Williamson County. We'll use every resource at our disposal to identify, arrest, and bring to justice those responsible for endangering our community." Students are not far into the new semester. Already several school threats and arrests have been made. At least 6 people in the Austin area, mainly students, were involved. Fox 7 Austin's Katie Pratt has a look at the reports and the consequences for the crime.
Friday, a heavier police presence could be easily seen at both Austin ISD's Aikens Early College High School and Round Rock ISD's Westwood High School.
We take every threat to be serious and potentially real.
AISD says the threat against Aikens was made on social media. This comes as the second threat made against the school within 2 days. At Westwood High School, alarming graffiti with references to bombs and guns was reported inside one of the boys' restrooms and spread through social media. Both school districts amped up their law enforcement presence as an investigation was conducted.
But we also do a very intensive investigation around the circumstances of that threat to understand if we can identify the individual making the threat, what the motivations may have been, what the intention is, and what the capabilities of the individual may be.
Chief Dennis Weiner of the Round Rock ISD Police Department says consequences for those who make the threat are serious and can land the student anywhere between 2 to 10 years in jail, even if the threat proves to be just a prank.
I think the vast majority of these investigations end up either unresolved or leading us to believe it was a prank. But that doesn't minimize the risk that the real threat is out there. It's a Class C felony, which means that the student that's identified could be facing, between 2 and 10 years in prison for this conduct.
For the threat made against Aikens, Austin police arrested a juvenile student on Friday on charges of making a terroristic threat and online impersonation, both felony charges. For a threat made against Lockhart Junior High School last week, a student was arrested and now also faces a felony charge. The threat made against Westwood is still being investigated, but charges to the involved parties are expected.
This threat gives parents an opportunity to have the conversation with their students around the implications of making threats like this and what the outcomes could be on the rest of their life.
Chief Weiner says in the end, it's not worth the jail time and a felony charge on a student's record.
I don't think any parent, any school administrator, any police officer wants to see a student face that kind of those kinds of ramifications for a prank.
Katie Pratt, Fox 7 Austin News.
Austin police are looking for leads in the death of Christian Rangel, who was found in a field back in April. Someone was arrested in connection with his death, but so far no one's been charged with murder. Police say Rangel and the person charged with dumping his body did know each other, but as Fox 7 Austin's Angela Shin finds, authorities want to know if other suspects were involved.
24-year-old Christian Rangel, deeply missed by his family and friends.
It is a pain that words cannot adequately describe. But I stand before you today not only in grief, but in hope that justice will be served.
Police say on April 8th, he left his apartment and went to a Walmart on US 290, but never came home. He was reported missing that night. Surveillance footage shows him getting into the passenger seat of a white GMC Terrain in the Walmart parking lot. It then speeds off as Christian was trying to get out. The driver was identified as Camry Wooldridge.
We don't know if they were the only 2 people in the car. No one else ever enters or exits except Christian's attempt to exit as the car speeds out of the parking lot.
On April 19th, Christian's body was found in a field on Spring Meadow Road in southeast Austin.
He has had his whole life ahead of him, a life filled with promise, love, and many dreams yet to be fulfilled. His smile would light up any room, and he had such compassion for everyone.
Police say Wooldridge dumped him there. She's charged with tampering with the human corpse. She is out on bond. Investigators want to know what happened between when Christian got in the car and when his body was dumped.
There were several people in the parking lot that we could see on surveillance footage. We haven't identified any of those people, so hopefully things like this will encourage those people to come forward.
At this point, it's not clear if Wooldridge will face more charges. Police want to know if there are other suspects.
We have a lot of theories that we're working with right now.
Family meant everything to him, and without him, Ours will never be the same. We will never stop seeking justice for him.
A man who planted multiple pipe bombs in Williamson County back in 2022 has pleaded guilty to arson. The 61-year-old says the reason behind all of it was that he didn't approve of his son's new girlfriend. Fox 7 Austin's Meredith Aldis has that story.
It shook the house big time. It felt like a stick of dynamite.
Residents in a neighborhood just south of Southwestern University in Georgetown described what it was like when a pipe bomb went off nearby.
It was very noisy, very big explosion.
This was back in 2022. It was a controlled detonation after police found a suspicious device left in the backyard of a home.
They informed us that there was a pipe bomb situation in the area.
What residents didn't know then was this was a targeted attack, and this wasn't the first. The Williamson County District Attorney says the victim's family started noticing strange occurrences around their property in late 2021, like super glue on locks and a damaged car and lawn equipment. Then a few months later, a pipe bomb exploded in the victim's van, the driver's hand severely injured. Then the pipe bomb was found in their backyard with a partially burned fuse. That's when law enforcement detonated it. And then in late 2022, officers found another pipe bomb and grenades at a man's home. His name, Michael Sha Meyers. The 61-year-old says his reasoning behind it all: he didn't approve of the woman his son was dating. He believed she and her family were stealing his son away from him. On Friday, a last-minute decision, right before the jury was to enter the Williamson County courtroom for his trial, Meyers pleaded guilty to arson causing bodily injury. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. In a statement, the Williamson County District Attorney says, quote, "Terroristic and dangerous acts will not be tolerated in Williamson County, and I'm proud of the work to see that Meyers cannot harm anyone again in Williamson County."
San Antonio detectives believe a woman who shot and killed a Sonic employee could be in Austin. That shooting happened in July at a Sonic in San Antonio. Police are searching for 17-year-old Adia Namir Roberson. San Antonio police say she was a customer who got into an argument over using counterfeit money, then shot the Sonic manager. If you have any information, you're asked to please call 911 or Crime Stoppers in San Antonio. A woman's behind bars for murder after investigators say she sold fentanyl to someone in Bastrop who later died of an overdose. Fox 7 Austin's Angela Shin has that story.
In Texas, a person can be charged with murder if they give fentanyl to someone who later dies of an overdose. That's what happened in this case. In February, the Bastrop County Sheriff's Office found a 19-year-old woman who died in bed at a recovery house off of State Highway 21. The cause of death later found to be fentanyl overdose. Now 29-year-old Alba Canellis has been arrested for her murder. Stephanie Turner, who lost her son Tucker to fentanyl in 2021, shares her thoughts.
It just breaks your heart to know another young life was stolen. What we know about dealers who are dealing this poison is they continue to deal it until they are off the streets. So more lives are at stake, and it's important to go after these drug dealers that are, causing death and harm to our community.
The arrest affidavit says the victim and a friend tried to buy heroin from Canellis but brought fentanyl instead. The friend knew Canellis, identifying her to investigators with Facebook. The two had gone to Austin to meet with Canellis for the deal and smoked some there before going back to Bastrop. Investigators found the substance in the victim's room, and phone records confirmed she used the same fentanyl brought from Canellis.
If you are a dealer who is dealing fentanyl, know that you're risking your life as well. It's not just the statistic of death, it's those who are now in a dependency, struggling with substance use, and then those who have lost their life to incarceration from poor decisions that they have made for selling.
Turner says education and awareness are key, especially for young people.
Drug dealers are easily able to sell and market their products online through Snapchat, Instagram. So it's important to be vigilant as a a parent, be mindful of what your kids are doing and pay attention.
And Canellis was arrested in Williamson County and then transferred to Bastrop County. She's being held on a $100,000 bond. In Bastrop, Angela Shen, Fox 7 Austin News.
U.S. Marshals have arrested a murder suspect who'd been on the run since 2021. Tovar Christopher Antoine Jr. is accused of stabbing 23-year-old Nicholas Martinez to death. His body was found in July 2021 outside of a convenience store along I-35 in South Austin. We last spoke to Martinez's parents 2 years ago, and they told us he was playing video games with his nephew that night. He took a break to walk to a separate apartment complex building to grab some laundry, then drove himself to a gas station a mile away where he was found with the stab wound.
But he got cut short. It's not fair. It's just not fair.
Austin police had previously found the knife inside Martinez's vehicle. His family believes it was a random murder. In Mesquite, authorities are searching for a fugitive wanted for murdering a mother of 4. Authorities believe that suspect, who's a Mexican national, may be hiding out in Mexico. Fox's David Centendry has the story.
She was like my sister. She was not just my cousin, she was more like my sister, my best friend.
Nancy Ayala, a mother of 4, was shot while some of her children were home with her inside her apartment in Mesquite last week. Police identified her long-term boyfriend, Samuel Tovar, a father of one of her kids, as the suspect. Tovar is on the run.
They had arguments, but it was just like, you know, any other couple that has disagreements.
Ayala's cousin, who does not want to show her face, showed Fox 4 home surveillance video from Ayala's apartment. It's too graphic to broadcast, but here's a screenshot of the apparent suspect holding a gun.
It got to the point where he was beating on her, pointing his gun at her, dragging her.
Ayala was shot outside the door entrance. Video from another apartment shows police on scene. After the shooting, Ayala fought for her life for nearly a week.
It's been very heavy.
She died, however, in a hospital Saturday.
We still had faith that she was gonna pull through just because of how long she was fighting.
A law enforcement source tells Fox 4 Tovar is a Mexican national. Ayala's family says he's originally from a Mexican village 900 miles away from North Texas.
He's not a citizen from here. He's from San Luis Potosí, specifically Bocas.
Is there concern that he could be crossing the border because of those connections?
Yes, we believe he has connections and he has friends and family that will probably more than likely help him get to the border and to his hometown.
So while Ayala's family hopes to heal, that cannot begin until her alleged killer is caught.
Because he needs to pay for what he did.
David Centendry, Fox 4 News.
Dallas man is facing child sex trafficking charges. He's accused of taking 2 teenage girls to New York, subjecting them to horrific abuse and forcing them to work as prostitutes. Fox's Peyton Yeager has more.
Who knows what he said? But I can guarantee you that he didn't say, I'm going to take you for a horrific journey and you're going to be abused and branded.
According to New York investigators, an appalling and inhumane 2 weeks for 2 Texas teenagers started on Instagram, where Bianca Davis of Dallas's New Friends, New Life believes the befriending began.
Anytime a woman or a girl gets out, it's an absolute miracle.
29-year-old Donald Roberson of Dallas went before a Brooklyn judge Wednesday on a 17-count indictment, including sex trafficking of a child, assault, sexual abuse, possession of a weapon, and promoting prostitution. New York courts do not release mugshots until after a conviction. Prosecutors say Roberson drove a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old from North Texas to New York and forced them to work as prostitutes. Roberson allegedly put the 2 teenagers up in a hotel and had his nickname Blue Cheese tattooed on both of their faces, a tactic called branding.
They don't see these victims as human beings. It's property. They are a commodity.
Prosecutors say Roberson also committed violent acts against the teens. The 17-year-old told investigators Roberson, quote, punched her in the face, kicked her in the face, causing her to suffer a seizure, and stabbed her in the side with a pair of scissors. At one point, one of the victims had an infection and was taken to the hospital. After she was released, Roberson allegedly choked her.
I feel like some of our viewers will see that and be like, how is she back out there?
There are things that hospital workers can look for. Is she not able to answer her own questions? Does she not have identification? Can she not explain her injuries or bruises?
On August 23rd, prosecutors say the 17-year-old tried to hide in the suspect's vehicle, but Roberson shattered a car window and then took a torch lighter to her leg and burned her. The teenager managed to text someone in Texas the address they were at. New York police officers found her, the 18-year-old, and arrested Roberson on scene.
A criminal group with ties to Venezuela has caught the attention of Governor Abbott. Fox 7 Austin's Jessica Rivera has more on the state's plan to put these criminals behind bars.
Good afternoon. Governor Greg Abbott declared a Venezuelan gang as a foreign terrorist organization here in the state. The gang goes by TDA, which is short for Tren de Aragua. Now, Governor Abbott says it is expanding its foothold here and in other states. Gang members are known for violent crimes that range from human trafficking to rape and murder. The governor says there have been 3,000 arrests of Venezuelan criminal suspects since 2021 in Texas, but there's no way to track how many are TDA members without a database. Abbott says Texas law enforcement officers will work to create one.
Texas will use the courts to halt their operations, use civil asset forfeiture to take their property, use enhanced criminal penalties to keep them in jail behind bars for longer periods of time.
Crimes the gang members are accused of include drug trafficking, robbery, and smuggling. TDA has also been linked to the murder of a college student in Georgia and shootouts with police officers.
Reports have also linked TDA to the murder of Lincoln Riley. Intelligence reports show TDA has been given the green light to shoot law enforcement officers in the United States. Our top priority is the security and the safety of our fellow Texans.
The governor also announced he was designating the group as a Tier 1 gang, which allows DPS to allocate more resources to target the group. The governor also says anti-gang centers in this state are working to identify and to intervene with criminal activities from TDA members. Reporting at the Capitol, I'm Jessica Rivera.
Finally, technology is a great tool to help people find their way around, but it also gives criminals a view of your home. And now some homeowners are taking action in an effort to protect their property. Fox 7 Austin's Meredith Aldis has the details.
Burglars are actually using technology to their advantage.
One way, Google Maps.
To see the dimensions of the house, the proximity from the street to the front door, and they're even able to see the three-dimensional perspective from the side.
So by the time they get to your house, they know how to get in and how to get out. Homeowners are now taking action to protect themselves from those potentially prying eyes.
The idea is you make the target harder to be achieved.
So they're blurring their homes on Google Maps. To do so, find your property on Street View. On the lower right corner, click Report a Problem. Where a screen appears, offers to blur an image. You'll have to provide an email address and Google will consider the request. The blurring is permanent.
I only see advantages to doing that in the context of being able to prevent bad guys from being able to see it and burglarize your home.
Because he says if it happens once, it'll very likely happen again.
If criminals are able to get these pictures and get them online and even produce them in the dark web and distribute them to other criminals, this can become then a habit for them because they know that that particular target is easy to penetrate.
The Austin Police Department recorded 996 burglaries in the first quarter this year. That's down compared to the same time period every year since 2020. Meredith Aldis, Fox 7 Austin Crime Watch.
Thanks for watching the Fox 7 Austin Crime Watch digital exclusive. Our Crime Watch stories run each Monday on Fox 7 Austin News at 9. If you miss them, you can watch anytime on our new Fox Local Connected TV app, which is free to download. And you can watch on multiple platforms like Roku and Apple TV. Just scroll down from the live player and look for the Crime Watch section. For more on the stories highlighted in this episode, you can head to our website, fox7austin.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the Fox 7 Austin YouTube channel.